Welcome to DFS Insights, where the game behind the game comes to life. I am David Geislinger, and alongside me is David Grant Jr., my cousin and co-strategist. The teams up on the block are the Boston Celtics at the Denver Nuggets.
Yes, sir. This is where each of us will be giving you our three key players to focus on while creating each of your lineups. David and I are going to give you a quick breakdown of what we like about each of our three main plays. And make sure to stay tuned until the very end, where we're going to give away two absolutely free lineups.
Nice. Did I read that right? I didn't read the Los Angeles Lakers in the title there.
Oh wait, you said Did you say Denver and Boston, or did you say?
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just joking because we always cover the Lakers.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Hey, it's well, and I just got done watching the Laker game, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I know. Hey, we do the Lakers. I just got done watching the Lakers. So,
I feel it.
Kings won for the third time this season, and for the 8th out of 9th games. So. That's what I'm talking about.
Nice, yeah. So at least we're covering something different here. Get a different perspective, covering the whole NBA finally. So yeah, Boston going against Denver at Denver. They are favored in this matchup by 1. So not really, too much of a favorite, but they are going in. And it's probably because they are currently first in the East. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They're currently on. They did lose their last game, 1-game losing streak, and Denver is third in the West, 6-4 in their last 10, and currently on a 1-game losing streak to the heartbreaking Phoenix Suns in overtime. The last matchup between Boston and Denver happened January 19th. Denver did win 102-100. Showing up here on the screen here is the stats for the previous game log. So as you can kind of see here, going through the list, for Denver, Nikola Jokic about 58 fantasy, Jamal Murray 51. So those were the top scorers there on Denver. Moving down over to Boston, you actually had Derek White, 43.1, and Jason Tatum at 42.1. So, yeah, this should be a pretty interesting matchup. Looking to see kind of, just different. It's just weird talking about another team other than the Lakers or the Clippers. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Key injuries here. Jaylen Brown is a game-time decision. Currently, I'm going under the assumption that he is playing. He did have a knee injury going into the Cleveland game, which he ended up playing 36 minutes. But now it's probably head, shoulders, knees, and toes. So your knee bone's apparently connected to your pelvis. So his pelvis is now the issue for this matchup. So just keep an eye. Make sure your notifications are on, as any news breaking I will be posting in our comment section below. And with that, do you have anything to add before we start heading over to our player breakdown?
I guess just that I'll be taking the approach that Jaylen Brown is not playing, so at least we'll be giving our viewers two different perspectives. That way, if he does play, we've kind of covered some of that, and then I'm going to be taking the approach that he doesn't play. Really just because he's questionable, not probable. I understand LeBron's been questionable every game and then plays. That's just, he's a different beast. You kind of have to know the player and the coach and the system and the injury. But usually when a player is questionable, it's 50-50 at best. So I'm just going to go off the assumption that he is not going to be playing as I speak about the game.
Nice. Yeah, that's really the major only injury. The other one is a few players that are in the 6,000 range, which I'm probably going to butcher all these. Nemias Kiata, he's out for the Celtics. Vlatko Konkar for Denver, theirs are out, but I don't see them being any kind of usage increase to any other player or anything like that. So kind of irrelevant, to say the least. But with that, let's find out who our relevant players are. Heading over to you first. Who do you have for your first player of this matchup?
So for my first player of this matchup, I got Mr. Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray here at 13,000. Man, at 13K, he easily gets, around 50 fantasy points, a night, to be honest. I mean, I know he's really only averaging, it says 37.5 on the season, but I mean, his upside is high, low 60s basically. But he does hit the 50 plus mark often, as he also did that, as you mentioned, in the last Boston matchup this year. He hit 51 fantasy points. So at the 13K, I just can't. I'll be putting him at the star. I'll be mixing him in at the star and the pro. I will not be putting him in the utility. I don't think I'll be putting him at MVP, although, it is possible. I don't, if I did, it'd be in 1 out of 10 lineups. I really like him at the star position, and then possibly the pro, depending on what type of lineup I'm looking at. We have Jokic on here, who's 17K, and then we got Tatum at 16K. So if we link, him up with one of those other guys, it starts to eat salary up pretty quick. But again, Boston looks to be in the bottom half of the league against point guards, and they're giving up almost seven field goals a game and 7 assists a game to point guards starters. And I just really like, I really like Jamal Murray. He's won me a lot of money, so I'm a big fan. What are your thoughts on Jamal Murray, and then who do you got for us for your first selection?
Yeah, I like him. He's gonna he's one of my selections here. Moving over, he could be my first pick. His minutes, he's averaging the last 5 games 32.7. Usage is pretty high, sitting at about 27.9. His average in the last 5 games is 45.1. Little asterisk there. I did not include the Miami game. He only played 14 minutes, so I took, he's a starter and he typically plays, mid 30 minutes, so I did not include the Miami game, whether he went out due to injury or whatever the reason was. So he is projected in this one roughly about 37.6. I like him in all the spots, MVP, star, and pro, because he does have that upper, the mid 50s, the 50s to 60 range. So that's a decent MVP candidate. I think it will be definitely an ownership play, there, because I can definitely see Tatum and Jokic, dominating that MVP. So if you're going to go with the ownership play, Murray would be probably the best candidate, other than obviously Tatum and Jokic, to take up that MVP spot. So, and like you mentioned, Denver is, pretty horrible at the typical quote unquote point guard position, giving up, last few games they gave up 37 to Garland, 66 to Luka, 51 to Maxey, and 50 to Brunson. So the likelihood that Jamal Murray hits that 50 range is probable. So so that's why I like him as well. So I will be definitely using him. I'll probably have him a lot in the star, which is probably where his ownership is going to be the highest. So But I will have, like you mentioned, a few lineups, 1 out of 10 in MVP, maybe even drop him in the pro for, 2 or so. But, I like him. But, yeah, so that's Jamal Murray.
So we both like him regardless. Who do you got second up as your
second up? I'm going to go with Jason Tatum on this one. I do like him. I know it's kind of the easy way out. Put it that way. But no, he's averaging 35.6 minutes the last 5. His usage is off the chart, 28.2. He averages 45 fantasy points in the last 5, and he's projected even over that at 46.6 this matchup. Denver is basically bottom tier against the typical quote-unquote power forward position, which, Jason Tatum basically plays. He's power forward / small forward, but he's power forward. So, and like I mentioned, Denver just gave up 56 to Durant, 50 to LeBron James, and 56 to Kyle Kuzma. So Jason Tatum, he's up there with Durant, James. So I have a feeling he could, be in that mid 50s, low 60s tonight against Denver. So that's kind of why I'm choosing him. His usage is there, his minutes are there, and he's an all-star. And Denver is weak against that position typically. So
yeah, I mean, and again with him being 1,000 less than Jokic, and then again I think Jaylen Brown's out, and I did read that when Jaylen Brown is out, that Tatum typically averages like an extra 6 or 7 fantasy points. I'm sure it's really even more than that. And so I could see the game being on his shoulders, and his usage going up, quite a bit if Jaylen Brown is not out there. So I really like that play as well, for sure.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, yeah. Who do you got? Who do you got as your second pick here?
So again, because I think Jaylen Brown will not be playing, and even if Jaylen Brown does play, this still is a good play. I'm going to go with Drew Holiday on Boston. I believe if with Jaylen Brown not playing, Drew usually steps up and gets things done. With what he did with Milwaukee, this has been a huge pickup for Boston. I mean, I can't believe that they got Drew Holiday. I think it's with him and Porzingis, it's been exactly what this team I think needs to get over the hump and actually be able to beat most likely Denver in the finals. So basically I was looking when Jaylen Brown was out last against Brooklyn, Drew Holiday got 35 minutes. He had 41 fantasy points. He had 14 points, 5 boards, 12 assists, and 2 steals. I could see him. I know he's the point guard and handles the ball quite a bit. Tatum handles the ball quite a bit, but Jaylen Brown also handles the ball quite a bit. So again, I could see a couple extra assists and, as well as points going Drew's way. So at 10-5, Drew has the upside of 50 fantasy points as well on any given night, but especially on a night where someone like Jaylen Brown is out. So at 10-5, obviously I like him at the pro spot. He'll probably be pretty heavily owned there if Jaylen is out. So mixing him up, I would go as high as star with him. Maybe even utility. He'd probably be super chalk at utility, I could imagine. But yeah, I really like Drew Holiday. What are your thoughts on Drew? And then who do you got here for your next pick?
Yeah, I like him at his salary range at the 10-5 spot. However, I do disagree. I think he'll be actually higher owned in the pro based on the salary spot.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people do that he's 10-5, he has to be in a multiplier kind of thing. more of the casual people playing DFS, obviously, but
Yeah.
So I mean, I think if you did choose to put him in, the utility, you will have an ownership play there. It would just, you got to make sure who you put in the pro over him. Whatever does better. But no, I like him. I like the salary of him. Being that he's like, I guess, the quote unquote middle of the field there. So yeah, no, he's a good player. As far as the 50-point upside, that is an extreme outlier case. I think I'm thinking probably from him, looking anywhere from probably like mid to low 30s. That's what I'm kind of projecting roughly. If I had to.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess he could have a little bit more upside if Brown doesn't play, but yeah, I still think that would be a pretty big outlier.
Yeah, no, that's again, I'm going off of not just this season and with this new squad. I'm going like Drew overall. I mean, he did the last time he hit over 50 fantasy points was against the Sacramento Kings.
Wow, that's not saying much though. And I'm a Kings fan. Kings give up 50 points to half the other team. So
yeah, for sure. But yeah, we just gave up 40 fantasy points to Hashimura. So I mean, let's be real.
Yeah. All right. Well, nice. Who's your third pick going in here?
Yeah, my final pick is going to be Derek White.
Okay.
And so, like, as you mentioned, Derek White's 11K, Drew Holiday is 10.5. So I went ahead and put Drew at the pro and put Derek White at the utility, thinking that'd be an ownership play. Because if you game log troll, Derek White did, have the 51 fantasy points last time that they played. And if people see that, they're going to want to throw him into a multiplier, especially if Jaylen Brown is out. And obviously, whether he's out or in, Derek White got the time and the points then. So I think he does everything. I love his energy out on the floor. He gets things done. And again, I don't think Jaylen Brown's going to be playing. So I'll be having mainly 3 Boston players and 2 Denver players. That's going to be mainly, I could see is what my builds early were starting out. So obviously I'll be following the news. If Jaylen Brown is in, that will change significantly how I approach the game. But yeah, as of right now, I don't think he's going to play. So my lineups have been a lot of 3-2 Boston, primarily because of the salaries. Even though, Michael Porter Jr.'s dropped, Aaron Gordon's dropped. I've seen a lot of these guys drop, and a lot of the Boston players are expensive, surprisingly. So, what are your thoughts on Derek White? And then who do you got here for your final guy?
Yeah, Derek White, I like him. I think I would pay the extra $500 for Derek White over Drew Holiday. I think he's a little bit more consistent, at least as far as minutes as well. I think, I mean, even though like his, I guess his floor is, mid, teens, 15, 16, and his ceilings, low 50s. So there is a range there, but at least in the past 5 games, it looks like he's been pretty consistent about that mid 30 range average. Just kind of looking over it. But yeah, no, I like him. I think you're right. The ownership play would be to put him in utility over the pro, because I think he'll be definitely probably heavier in the pro, like I said, just because that correlation with salary and multiplier spot. I can't even see him going up to the star. Obviously, that's based on how the game goes. Does he get hot? Does he get going? Because I mean, you see, last he had 35 minutes and only 3 points, but then also you come down here 33 minutes and 28 points. So He needs to get going, needs to see that shot drop, and then that's literally probably every player in the NBA. But he's clearly a good pick. So, and like you mentioned, it's tough because it's the top like 5 of the Boston is above 10K.
Yeah.
So it makes things a little tougher to dissect on who you're kind of going to go with. So
and that's why I like the 3 lineup you guys will see have each of the guys I did mention, and then I left 1,000 on the table to to also mix it up, so that way I'm not zeroing out my salary. And so right on. Well, who do you got here for your final pick?
Third pick, I'm going to go with the guy who you think is out, Mr. Jaylen Brown. Like I said, I am going with the assumption that he is in. And when he does play, I like him. He's, last 5 games, 31.9 minutes average. His usage is off the chart, 31.3. That's insane because I'm literally kind of hoping for mid-20s is kind of the sweet spot that I typically like to see players at, but I'll take a 31 all day. Averaging 39.7 fantasy points, and he's projected about 35.4 this matchup. There is, like you did mention, the concern of the injury, the potential 2 injuries, but hopefully being paid millions of dollars, he can suck it up at least for this game. So at least I'm right. No, I like him in the star and pro. At 14K, I think going below pro is not really that smart. And with Tatum and Jokic and even Murray on the slate, I can obviously see him in the MVP slot, but I prefer those 3. If I did have him in the MVP slot, I would have to probably, if I was to create the 150 max lineup, he'd probably be in there 5%, maybe, 7, 8 of them or something in MVP. So nothing too extreme there, but star and pro for sure. And obviously, like I mentioned before, have those notification bells turned on. Any news in regards to injuries or any kind of change or whatever, I post down in the comments below. What do you think about, obviously, if Jaylen was to play?
If he plays, then that definitely will lower my exposure to like Drew Holiday. He is 14K. To be honest, I kind of like Porzingis a little bit more at the 12.5, just because I feel like he can accomplish the same, and both of them have, they both are basically averaging the same amount of fantasy points, and then they both have that nasty ceiling. So it's like I can, for 2,000 less, 1,500 less, get Porzingis. So that's kind of like the other guy I'd be looking at, mainly because his knee is hurt and now his hip is hurt, and then like you mentioned, he did play 36 minutes against Cleveland on the road. They are on the road in Denver. At least it's not a back-to-back, so he does have a day off here for rest. But
keep in mind though, Boston is basically top tier against the power forward center position, so they're coming in at literally basically the top of the league against that position. So they have we'll see. Obviously we'll see. So
I don't get, if he's in, I will have some exposure to him. I'm no fool. It's Jaylen Brown.
Denver is good against that position, Porzingis. So Denver will be good guarding Porzingis. There we go. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, they're both. So basically, it says like Boston's fourth, and then Denver is, or I'm sorry, it's fourth because then it's saying.
No, yeah.
I got
Denver is third against the center position.
Okay, so yeah, I mean that would make sense because it's joking.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, no, yeah, like I said, those are, the players there. I think we broke down, pretty much, the top players that, should be. Obviously, if you guys do have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. But until then, now what you guys have been really waiting for, those free lineups. Please, as we wrap up today's discussion, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Your support fuels our passion and helps us bring more insights your way. And here's a bonus for our community. Head over to our shorts section for 2 free prize pick players related to today's matchup. It's our way to saying thanks and giving you more tools for your DFS arsenal. Whether you're here for the insights or the insider picks, we're here to make your DFS experience top-notch. So please make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It does help us out a lot, get put in front of more people. Hopefully, everybody, hits that leaderboard and sees that DFS Insight logo. And with that, I'll have David send you off here and we'll wrap this thing up.
Yeah, hey, it was definitely exciting to cover, some different teams here. I mean, I play a lot of Denver, so I feel really good about. I know Denver's team inside and out. I'm glad that we're covering them versus Boston, so we can start covering some of these East Coast teams. You and I are on the West Coast, and also, we cover typically the last game, single game entry that is on each slate. So. Just keep your eyes out for that. This was cool. Make sure to put down in the comments who you guys have as your top play and the reason why. And look forward to seeing you. I hope everybody here makes a lot of money. See you guys at the top.